Hello, I'm Mike, welcome to the workshop. This week I'm going to do a bit of upcycling. So several years ago I took this old drawer and converted it very badly into a really quick storage area for games and records and such. I never got around to finishing it. It looks pretty sad at the minute. So, let's do a proper job on this. Roll the intro. So here is the basic idea. We're going to take our drawer with a painting inside of it black, nice matte black, and we'll clad the outside of it then in old pallet wood in kind of a random thicknesses, put a solid top on it, put in 2 shelves, and that'll be it. Oh, and of course I'm going to coat it with Danish oil. So step 1 here is I'm going to paint the inside this black, so I need to do a bit of filling. So because I'm going to be painting this, I'm just using car body filler. This is very good if you're painting because it dries very quickly, extremely hard and doesn't shrink away. And in this case, there are a series of holes in the front where the drawer front was. So this will give us a nice smooth inside when we have it all done. With the drawer painted, the next step in the process is to clean up some pallet wood using my planer thicknesser. Of course now you can just use sandpaper and sander to do this, but this is a little bit quicker. And I'll use this then to make my top, my slats and my shelves. Everything cleaned up and thickness to the dimensions I want, the first thing I do is cut and joint all the pieces that I'm going to use to make my top and my shelves. Okay, so now it's time to glue up our top. So it'll be hard probably to see here on pencil, but you always want to mark the way you're going. I do it with a triangle, they have to go back together that way. And the important thing is when you're gluing up, you want the grain to oppose. So I have it like this, where the cups are going that way on one, that way on the other, and that way on the third, and that helps keep everything square. Well, now there's all that's left is to glue up. So successful glue ups depend on a few things. The main one is always do a dry fit to make sure that everything's going to work, because once the glue is on it's a lot harder. But I will always make sure my clamps are set before I start gluing up, and I always use pieces at the side to ensure that I don't damage what I'm wanting to make. I'm using a
polyurethane glue here, which means I only need to apply it to one side. This is great. The foam can be a bit annoying, but generally with PU glues you can clamp and clean off in about an hour. And I kind of only had a day to make this, so this was definitely important. And I do the exact same thing with the top with the shells. The only difference is I glue up all the material for the shells at one time, and then I split them in the middle. So while those are drying, I start to prepare my slats. So I cut them all to length first, then I split them on the bandsaw, and using my jointer I just joint each end. Now of course you can just use a plane to joint up those edges so they're fairly tight, but I'm not really concerned about that.
Right, so now the fun part begins. So I am just going to glue and tack all of these on in a random pattern. So let's start. So now I'm going to add our slip all around the front. Same story as everything else. I'm just going to glue and tack this, and then all we need to do is final filling, sanding, put on the top, put in our drawers, and this is good to go.
So with the frame done, it's now time to return to our glued up pieces. So I'm just going to take them out of the clamps, remove all the glue squeeze out, then fill them and sand them. Now I find the best thing for removing this PU glue is a painter scraper. It's basically a long flat scraper, and it just scrapes it off in jig time, and it doesn't tend to dig into the timber. But you do need to sand away the PU glue when you're done.
Right, so we're getting there now. So the last thing I'm going to do here is I've glued up my shells so that both come out of one. So I just need to down the middle with the bandsaw, fit them, and then we can start doing the final touches So after a bit of sanding, quite a lot of sanding, we're nearly done now. So a good tip for, let's say, all these little bits here, just make up a little sanding coil like this. And all I did was just double side tape a piece of nice sandpaper to this, which allowed me to get into all of these grooves, to sand them, break them, clear them off. And now with that done, we're sanded, it's time to put in the shells. So our shells are quite thin, so there's only a small overhang. So what I've done is I've cut an angle on my shelf pieces. The idea being that when you look down then you don't see the edge of this, so it makes the shells look a lot slicker. So it's time to start putting these in. Then we'll screw on the top, and it's that time again, Danish oil time.
So when I'm drilling these out, I deliberately set them the way they're going in the unit. The reason being that many times I have drilled it wrong and countersunk the wrong side. So it's a good tip to alternate them so you make sure you have the perfect fit inside. And I just knock off all the rough edges here using my little sanding stick. And it's important to countersink so everything is slick. And because I have a grey pencil mark on a black interior, I'm using my light here to make it easier to see the line. This is always a good tip. The better the light you have on the job, the better the chance you have of doing it perfectly. And all the dust and stuff you see on the inside, I just blow it out and rub it down with a baby wipe. This is a pretty good wood stain I've used, so nothing comes off. And I just screw these in case in the future I want to move them. The advantage of having the inside painted is I could move these shells, just fill it and paint it over again.
Oh yeah, it's that time again. It's Danish oil time. So, that's it. From a crusty old drawer to a funky, unique upcycle shelving unit. It only took a couple hours. It's certainly better than it was. Insert thingy here. Now, thank you as always for staying to the end of the video. If you like this, like, share, subscribe and all that fun stuff. And absolutely do try this at home. So several years ago I took this old drawer. What did I do with it?